Yeah, hello and welcome to a new episode in the ConceptBase channel. My name is Manfred Joyselt. The topic of today is active rules or event condition action rules. ConceptBase has two types of rules. The one is deductive rules or derivation rules that are based on logic. So you derive facts based on existing facts via these rules. Um, these rules do not change the state of the database. They only extract some information from uh, the database. Event condition action rules or active rules can change the database state. So here we have an example of bank transfers. So you have an account that has a balance, that is a one class, and then you have a transfer from an account to another account, and there's an amount. Now here you see an active rule that says if you have a new transfer TR, that is a transfer, with an amount M, so if we include this new information to the database, then this rule is triggered. So this little symbol means that this predicate here will be evaluated on the new database state. So it could be that there are several transfers in a single transaction. Then the first transfer would change already the state, and we need to take that into account when we evaluate the condition part, the if part of the active rule. So this is the event part on tell this new transfer with a certain amount. We check what is a from account, that's account one, the to account, that's account two. We have a current balance of these two accounts, B1, B2. Then we compute the new balance of the first account, that is the difference between the old balance minus the transfer amount M. For the from account, for the to account, it is adding the amount. Then we check that the from account has that the new balance of the from account is positive, so we don't allow negative account balances here. And if that is true, we can do the action part, the A part of an ECA rule, and that changes two facts. So account one gets NB1 as a new balance, and account two gets NB2 as new balance. That will be executed if the condition part is true. If it's not true, for example, if that is not true, then we reject the whole transaction, and well, the update will be rejected by the system. We have two example accounts. Peter's account starts with 402, and Mary's account starts with 1. And then we transfer first 250 from Peter's account to Mary's account, and then 150. So we would expect that Peter's account is at 2 after these two transfers, and Mary's account should be at 401. So in total, she gets 400 uh, put onto her account plus the initial state 1, that is 401. So that is the expected balance. Now, active rules, in particular, active rules in ConceptBase have several modes, and the first mode here is immediate. Immediate means if we see a new fact like, a transfer like this, transfer 1, then it is directly triggering the active rules when this fact is included, when this is stored in the database. Then it continues with the next objects to be stored in the database. That happens to be another transfer, and that has another amount that will be immediately executed. That means when we see this tell part, then we immediately execute the condition and the action part. So let's do that. This is a so-called CB shell script, so that does these different actions in a sequence, so we don't have to use the user interface. That's prepared here. So the shell script is ECA banking immediate.cbs. That's exactly this file. And we, from the trace of that execution, we fetch all the lines that contain the ECA keyword. That happens to be the relevant changes induced by the active rules. So let's execute that. And you see here that results in the expected state. So Peter's account has a balance of 2 afterwards, and Mary's account has 401. That's because in this case, the immediate mode gives you the expected semantics. We don't mix transfer objects here, and we don't mix telling the state of the account in these tell transactions. So uh, when this fact is told to the database, we immediately execute the transfer, and then the next object of the transaction sees the updated state from, well, because we have this little back apostrophe here in the if part. Good. Let's check another example that is actually the same rule, but now we have immediate deferred as a mode. Immediate deferred means when such an update is seen, like a transfer with a certain amount, it will immediately execute the if part, the condition, but it will not yet execute the do part. So it memorizes the result of the condition, so all the variable bindings that make this true. And after all objects are told, it will execute the do part. So let's do that. Note that otherwise the rule is completely the same. So that's this one here. Now this results in Peter's account to have a balance of 252 and Mary's 151. That's because, well, it adds to this do part to the waiting queue. Note that we have deferred the do part, the action part, and then it adds for the second transfer the second do part. And the second one will override the first one. So when we have computed when this action list here, we did not yet change the database. We just memorized that we want to change. So we will execute that here, the first, so that the transfer of 150 units, but that will be overridden by the transfer, by the second transfer that has memorized the old account balance for these accounts. Note that we evaluate the whole if part, the whole condition of the ECA rule. So it doesn't see the updated state of the database here. So this results in the wrong semantics, immediate deferred. So finally, we have a look at the third variant that is the deferred mode. The sources are the same except for the mode, which is deferred. Deferred means when we see an event like telling a new money transfer, we memorize that we want to execute this rule for this event after the transaction. So for this one, we put one event in our event queue and we put another event for the second one here. And then we will execute the event one after the other. Since we did not yet execute the if part, well, when we execute the first event for this tell here, then we will change the database state, and then the next event will be executed, this one here, and then it sees already the new database state. Let's see whether this is actually done. That's this variant, and you see it puts the, it memorizes that it has to execute these ECArules for this event. So that's the name of the rule, transfer rule. That's the second event. And then it executes the first event to update the balance like this, and then the second event on the waiting queue that results in the expected semantics. Yeah, that's about all. So that was a short introduction into the execution modes of ECR, event condition action rules, active rules. There is more to say. If you have multiple active rules, you can have a precedence between the active rules. So for that, maybe one set of rules is executed before another set of rules, and there are more ways to specify that a certain set of actions is done in a sequence, not interrupted. But that's all for the moment. Thank you for your attention and see you soon later. Bye.